every day. Every day. Every day we try a little bit more, a little bit better. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. How we doing out there in Radio Land?
Howdy. Oh, everybody.
Oh, hopefully I'm not like shattering eardrums. That looks a little loud.
Well, I don't know. No eardrums busting. That's not. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do with that, Good evening, everybody. How you out there in the internet?
Hello,
it is Tuesday night. It is Scuba and the Rye. Of course, Scuba Steve here to hopefully be humble host and whatnot. And of course, we got Rye Guy.
Hi, guys. From the Rye Guy. Guys, hi.
Hi. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
You doing great? I'm doing good.
So, alrighty. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Let's see how we're doing. It's Tuesday night. We got stuff to chit chat about and all those things. So let's get to it. First off, some announcements and some thank yous and all those things. First off, as always, a thank you to the community. A thank you to all of you who are sitting here watching this live or watching this on playback. And if you're enjoying this, please remember to hit the like, the subscribe, and little bell notifications so you know when we put out more content. Shout out and a thank you to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards that we're using. As always, this is a custom set I put together using their sound library for Scuba and the Rye. Give us a nice chill kind of ambiance because, that's what we do.
Yeah. All day, every day.
A couple of quick scheduling info. We got more we're going to talk about later, but biggest thing is going to be all of our D&D live shows, Shadow Watch and Challenge Accepted, are going to be moving over to our YouTube platform and no longer live streamed on Twitch starting this week. Some things going on and whatnot, and you know what? We're at a point, let's just go ahead and just pull the trigger on that and do the live streams. I still plan to utilize Twitch for some just chatting type things or some smaller scale live content. Maybe just some random gameplay when I'm sitting here doing some video game stuff on the PlayStation, the computer, or the Xbox. But we'll work all that out. But the predominant content release will be here on YouTube. Trying to hit up where we can hit that next level of the YouTube. We just got up to 70 subscribers. Want to try and hit up to 100. Maybe start doing some giveaways when we hit 100 and those things. I got a bunch of stuff I'd like to give away, and that's kind of that benchmark we want to try and hit. You want to and hit the likes and the subscribes, all that. So that's a big thing. Another couple of minor things for this week. There isn't going to be a challenge accepted game on Saturday night. And there isn't going to be a Sunday with Scoob this Sunday. Some other stuff has come up where I'm going to be doing something else, which I will talk about when we get to State of Game.
Yes.
But we are going to have challenge accepted on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here. You'll probably see the notification as I preload the reminder video shortly after we get done here tonight. It's okay, Mayflower. I'm glad you're here. Glad you made it. Hopefully
first.
Jadster, how you doing? Shouting out, saying hi to people in the chats. So yeah. Homework, yes, totally. Homework has got to be the thing. School's important.
School always comes first.
So let's get into this. We got quite a few things to talk about, and something that hopefully will have viewers who can help me kind of decide. If not, the mods and Rye will help me decide this thing I've got to build. Like,
sure you want me to decide?
You know what? Why not? I mean,
who knows?
I don't know what I had no
brain of mine.
That's the teaser when we get to that. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Explosion.
So we had all the things running all those various commands for the all those kinds of doodads and dibbly doos.
Dibbly dabby doo.
So yeah. Oh. Alrighty. So first up, what's up? What you been doing, Ryan? What have you been up to, my friend? It has been an interesting week, I hope.
I guess You know, it's another week, another sporadic fun times, busy times, school times. It's all kinds of times. But yeah, some of the fun stuff. Yeah, it was for my friend Sean's birthday. We did back-to-back hangouts. Friday night, we went ahead and hit up a place called Sushi King. It's an all-you-can-eat sushi place around here. Really fun, really good, really great. I love sushi, so you can get me to go out once you say sushi. And then on Saturday, we went to Farmhouse and hung out there. Got a couple drinks. There was a live band. There wasn't too many people out there. It was a little chilly, but hey, it's quicker to get the drinks when there's less people out there. So that's always a plus. And then other than that, just working on projects for school, work, training, getting ready for a new training session coming up in the week, and also drop money on expensive things. So tires, tuition payments, and other things.
I dropped quite a bit of money on some things too this past week.
You know the other thing, but I can talk about that later. So
yeah.
That's it for me.
That's it for you. It's actually been pretty quiet. I mean, Farmhouse would be fun.
Oh yeah.
When I say about spending big money, I spent big money paying off big money. I completely was able to clear out my credit cards with my my tax refund and some other stuff. So I actually feel a lot less encumbered in a lot of ways and able to be back in a manageable thing. Also this weekend, there's a lot of crazy scheduling type stuff going on. Saturday I attended I had a informational seminar, because something I'm going to be trying to do is I'm going to try and apply for the career switcher program over at Old Dominion University. I think I mentioned this. I might have mentioned this last week. I might not have, but I'm going to mention it now.
No, I don't know.
I don't think I talked about it live. So I will talk about it live here. I'm going to apply for the career switcher program at Old Dominion University. And if I get in and make it for the summer course, I am going to, what that program is it allows me to take my experience and apply for a teaching certificate so I could be a technology education teacher within the local school system.
Yes, sir.
A friend of mine brought it up. I feel like it resonated with me, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to try it. See what I can do with that. Some people say I could probably be pretty good at it. We'll see. I have some certification tests I've got to take and some other things, which we'll talk about as the things go. Sunday we had Shadow Watch, and it was one of those when you're really, really sleep deprived, playing D&D can be quite interesting. Just saying.
Hey,
just saying.
Fantasy on top of delusionary can be extraordinary.
But we got through it. It was a little bit shorter session. All of the stuff is up here on YouTube. It's going to start rolling out so that all of the previous, so they will be out before we go live and do our live session this Sunday. Decided to just go ahead and pull that trigger and move the live games over to YouTube. So we're going to run them on YouTube. Finishing up all those bits and bobbles for that. And then it was getting ready for GaryCon, because GaryCon 2021 is this weekend, and I have got some really awesome things to talk about. I've managed to land some really cool opportunities, and I'm just so excited because I got some confirmation emails today about some of this stuff. So yeah, but I've got to do characters. I've got to make some. I got to make some characters. I got to make a couple of characters. I need to make a level 3 character and a level 7 character.
Boom.
Not sure what to do. Character creation is hard. I was commenting about this earlier. It's like, when the dungeon master says you could be any race in any class, it's like, yeah, that's really kind of cool to see what you come up with. But man, being on the other end of that comment, it's like, what do I make?
Sometimes way open-ended can
very nice
stifle your thoughts.
Very nice. So I got all registered with GaryCon. That was actually a very interesting experience. But I'll talk more about that when we get into State of Game. I also have a community question that I posed to my subscribers in our Discord, asking about, hey, want to do some more kind of like D&D conversation type things, kind of like that whole, and get some questions, offer some opinions, and do little segments on that. community did respond, and a very interesting question that I will do my best to kind of give my thoughts on. And of course, we have we have our reviews. We have a movie Minari, I believe is the film you reviewed last week. Minari. Yeah. We have some odds and ends. We actually have a full load of 5 odds and ends stories. And a reminder that in our Discord, we do have a channel that's just the odds and ends that Rye finds. Shout out to anybody who's a member of our Discord. If you read the story and you think it's a good one, you'd like to hear us talk about, give it an emoji. The stories with the most emoji reactions are going to be the ones that we talk about on the next episode of the podcast. So that being said,
we are loaded,
and I'm trying something different with the stream video, so we could try to be a little more interactive. Normally with the normal latency, excuse the hiccups, normal latency, it gives me like a 30-second delay from when you in the chat comment. I went to a lower latency. Hopefully the video doesn't look too terrible. Please give a shout out in the comments and the chat accordingly. But it should allow for a little more dynamic back and forth with our chat. So I think we got that out of the way.
Oh yeah, it's running smooth.
Running smooth?
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. Let's move on to our reviews.
Moving on. Do something better.
All right, so here we have kind of an indie film, I think, Minari, which is a story of a family that immigrated to America and are trying to live the American dream and all of the struggles with that going with that. It seems like it's a nice cultural piece as far as, you know, some of the clashing cultures coming into a new environment, a new situation, some of those struggles to try and adapt to a new society and a new environment. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary.
Read the review, watched the trailer. I don't know where I can check this out digitally.
Amazon
I think this
on Prime.
This is on Amazon Prime?
But you have to pay for it.
Well, I have Amazon Prime, so
you have to pay to rent it afterwards.
Oh,
it's not a Prime original.
It's not a Prime movie, but it's on Amazon Prime to rent.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's in some theaters, but since it's an indie film, it's one of those films like you gotta hit the right theater at the right time deal. But you can just catch it on Amazon if you want to watch it. But no,
that works. All right, Rye. So tell us about Minari.
Minari is an indie drama, like you pointed out, and it focuses on a Korean family who moved to America. Initially, they are in California, but the film picks up with them traveling to Arkansas. And the father, Jacob, played by Stephen Yeun, has invested in some land out in Arkansas. His hope is to start a farm, and he wants to use this farm to provide a strong foundation for his family, some kind of, find purpose and growth, and aka that typical American dream. And this is set during the 1980s. So it's very much a clash of cultures. You have a Korean family moving to the countryside of Arkansas, so you have a clash of cultures right off the bat. But it's a very ingrained and poignant kind of story that focuses on family situations and self-sacrifice. So as you watch Jacob Stephen Yeun, if you don't know who Stephen Yeun is, he's most prominently known as he's from The Walking Dead.
Yep.
And what through him you get to see this endearment of struggles where he's trying to pursue a dream, but also seeing a purpose in this dream to support his family. But at the same time, the situation drives a little wedge between him and his wife, Monica, played by Korean actress Han Ye-ri, and their 2 children. So there's this dynamic of, on face value, they look okay, but inside they're not, because Monica doesn't think the farm is the way to raise the family and farm. She wants to go back to California. So there's a struggle with the uncertainty of the farm's initial setup, and then through that it parallels this family just trying to find a place to live and raise their kids. And that's whole focus of this film is focused on the family, the individual, the idea of trying to be a strong role model, and relative themes that are authentic to the human pursuit of happiness as a core, especially the American dream kind of happiness.
Cool.
in here, the importance that show up is through the themes: theme of family, theme of pursuit for prosperity, and like I said, that role model. And the tagline I have for this review is that we are all a product of our dreams, good or bad. And that's the whole film is. So you just watch as this family is trying to struggle through this first year and trying to raise this farm. And through all that struggle, you feel this warmth and raw, perseverance through them. Regardless of all the struggles they're faced, they still keep moving forward.
Okay.
So what happens is that once you hit the final act, it's very much a question of cost. How much of the unpredictable circumstances or the unknown scenarios with investing in this farm are they willing to risk? Is Jacob willing to risk everything for this dream, or is he willing to do something that will help his family, and vice versa with Monica? Is she willing to see what can happen, or just throw it all away and go back to California? So it presents that question, and I'll leave it up to the audience to watch if they want to find out. But that is my take on this.
That is interesting. It's always scary to go off and try and pursue a dream and not knowing how that dream is going to turn out.
Nope. And it is, like you said, trying to pursue that dream, especially for, this is their Korean family. They bring everybody across the sea to California, then uproot again with nothing to themselves except for this farm and a hope. So.
All right, so what'd you give it, Rye?
Overall, this was a very fantastic, just down-to-earth kind of film. Very methodical pacing, takes a minute to get in, but once you're in it, you're stuck till the end, and in a good way. 4 out of 5, full price.
Nice. All right, so another thing we can take a few minutes to talk about is the big premiere on Disney Plus this past week. And that was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 1.
Oh, yes.
Dude, that was a nice way to start off the next Marvel series.
That was a great episode, first episode, and it did a great job at right off the onset. It lets you know that it is grounded in the aftermath of the blip. And at the same time, you see the ramification, not on the surface level, but a very down-to-earth character level, especially for Sam Wilson when he goes back home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil it too much, but I think overall, this is going to be very interesting. I like how we spend quite a bit of time focusing on, the character development, getting ready to kind of get started, because it's very different than WandaVision.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're talking two different genre type things, but it's good. It's setting up for conflict. It's setting up for character. It's setting up for the struggles of what some of these people have to deal with post blip, especially because Falcon and Winter Soldier were both blipped away and then brought back right at the end of Endgame. So they're literally, I mean, for Winter Soldier, he was struggling with his traumas leading from the end of Civil War and just going right into it. And for Sam, he had all these family connections and whatnot, and then gone for 5 years. So the two of them are going about two struggles in two different aspects, but still quite a bit of struggle to deal with. And I can't wait for the next episode. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Disney Plus, Falcon and Winter Soldier. It actually broke quite a few records. I think one of the biggest ones, it was the most watched premiere on Disney Plus to date.
Yep, and that broke the previous one, which was WandaVision, which was not even that long ago, the first episode.
No, it wasn't. But we're also talking, it broke Mando.
Oh yeah, it broke everything.
It broke everything with this, so it's off to a great start.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it gets down to earth to the characters and ramifications of what is, and a very relative connection with a lot of things. So.
All right, so next up, we're just rolling right along. Next up, we got our state of game, which is the games we're playing and what we're playing and how we're playing. First off, we chat about some video games, and then I've got some D&D stuff.
Dropped another thing. If you want to talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about the superheroes in the room. Zack Snyder's Justice League just dropped on HBO Max. I've watched the first half because I was watching it with a friend of mine as part of our Thursday night jam where we do minis and kind of just watch anime. This dropped. We got through the first 2 hours or so. So I can speak to the first 2 hours. I haven't seen the last 2 hours, but of course, with a movie this big, you can't shake it. You can't go anywhere on the internet without some kind of link or tie back to somebody spouting off about Justice League. But that being said, what about you, Rye?
I watched the whole thing.
You watched the whole thing? So
Yes.
we'll speak about the first half, and next week we can talk about the second half if you want, or we'll just talk about it because I know how it ends. I know some of that stuff there. I just haven't visually seen it. But I think
I can give my overall impressions without breaking the dam.
But I will start off with this, though. Prior to watching it, a friend of mine had checked out a review. I will not tell you the source, but the tagline for the review made us chuckle. And their opinion of this movie was, if you wanted to watch a superhero movie that was equivalent to watching paint dry, this was the movie for you. Now, I'm not sure I wasn't sure on that opinion, and I paraphrased it, but it's still the essential bits there is they equated this to be a rather long and arduous journey. You know, and Bri, do you think that opinion is valid or kind of off the mark? Or just someone who lacks the ability to just sit and enjoy long form.
Not knowing the reviewer, not reading the review, and just taking it off what you said, summarizes somebody that already came in with the pretext to not liking this film, and probably does not like Snyder's stuff. AKA like how there are Bay haters out there, just because Michael Bay's name strapped on it, they automatically start from it's going to suck. My impression is that he is off the mark. Not like way off the mark, but off the mark. I think this cut of Justice League, not comparing it to the other one, just on its own, is a fun-filled superhero journey. There's a lot of good character and backstory building. It's a good long form. HBO Max is a great place for this to be because it gives them the ability to gave Snyder the ability to do what he wanted to do with this film. And with all the nuggets to fan service, with great character building, and just a good journey. I mean, it does end in a cliffhanger on purpose because that's how Snyder wanted it.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be the first of a trilogy of Justice League movies.
But I think it's a far superior film to the other one, but on its own, it's a great journey. It does have its flaws. It does have its setbacks. I think there was things that could be cut out, would have even made it even better if they cut out certain things. My one gripe is Snyder has an infatuation with slow motion way too much. But what Superman does, and in the end, when it comes back, it's still bad to the bone. So.
Yeah, there's a first half of it. Yeah, there's definitely I think some of the stronger things is the fact that we get a more fleshed out Cyborg and a more fleshed out Barry Allen.
Better.
So those are the two things from the first half of the film that are like so much better in my opinion.
It makes you wonder why and how they edited things in the first iteration. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I think it's the different stuff. It's like, you wanted to make it, when it initially came out, you were competing with the MCU.
Yes. So
it's like that influence is there because, well, the MCU films are this palette and this style. We should be, if we want to have the same kind of audience, we should be doing something similar.
Yeah.
Because that's what people will resonate with. I don't know. I kind of like the darker bits with it. I kind of like how we have a little bit more expansion on the various characters. The extra Aquaman stuff is kind of cool. I honestly really didn't notice the accent change with Mira.
Did the first half incorporate not to cut you off, the flashback scene when the old gods were fighting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my friend had a reaction. It's like, wait a minute. An axe? Really? Um, but I do like the way that they redoing Steppenwolf and adding those elements. So far I'm liking it. It is a little slower, but then again, this is not the kind of thing that you really want to rush in a condensed version. So I think the expanded format is doing it well. There are quite a few slow-mos where it's like but then again, I think we as a society or as a culture, because you and I were talking about this off air, is we're so used to things being hit, boom, boom, boom. Reaction. There is not the appreciation for a slow burn. It's like we want it here, we want it now, we want to get it over with because we're too attention deficit. We need to move on to the next thing immediately after.
Yeah, it's a good slow burn. I mean, even if they decided to do it in 4 parts initially, how they were going to do it, I think I could see why. But it's good in itself because you can pause it. So.
Oh yeah, I mean that's nice. I mean, and to be fair, Endgame was how long?
It was almost 3 hours.
Almost 3 hours. So adding another hour and 2 minutes, not too unrealistic for these kind of big mashup things, because what happens with mashups is when you're having a mashup and you're trying to give each person an equal amount of screen time, you're going to have to sacrifice if you're going to cut down the link, you're going to sacrifice screen time. I mean, that's one of the things that just it is. This is how it is. So yeah. I think it went really well. So far I'm really appreciating it. We're planning to watch the second half this week, and then all of that.
Second half, you're going to see a completely different film than the theater release. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I saw that comment, Mayflower, trying to watch all the Marvel movies. That's good popcorn time, especially depending on which way you watch them, whether you watch them chronologically or release order. It's still a great time watching them.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, so on the State of Game.
State of Game. That was a good diversion.
It wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad because
I had a thought somebody might mention it. I was just waiting for it.
I think it was on our initial plan, but I never saw the second. I haven't seen the second half yet, so.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. But, yeah. Come back around and we'll talk about your overall thoughts about it after.
That's true. So, all right. State of Game, stuff like that. Video game-wise, I've been getting some more time with Horizon Zero Dawn, which, FYI, PlayStation is having an initiative for play games at home in April. If you have PlayStation and do not have Horizon Zero Dawn, in mid-April, they're going to release Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for PlayStation 5 for free for you to check out. I think it's totally worth it. I picked up the Frozen Wilds expansion and already incorporating some of that because I'm fairly early in the story. But I switched my difficulty to story mode. I'm distracted hunting in the wilds versus, completing the main quest. It's like very Skyrim-like.
I might switch sides the story mode. I don't even know what mode I'm on. So, it's been a while.
What about you, Ryan? What you been working on or revisiting?
I put a pause on the console gamings, but like I mentioned last week, I decided, hey, let's resub and start playing Lord of the Rings Online. So that's what I've been doing, playing a lot of Lord of the Rings Online. So it's been actually kind of fun. For some, coming back in with, worries of needing to run raids or all that stuff, just going in. And the great thing I love about this game, which I've loved since the beginning, is that you could just solo your way through a lot of things. You don't need to, be forced to team up or stuff. Of course, if you go into the wrong regions, you will be chased out like a chicken with its head cut off.
That's pretty much with any game, especially with an open world game, regardless of a console or MMO. It's like you go to the wrong place and you see that skull over the creature for indicating the level. It's like, yeah, I gotta go now, or I don't want to aggro. Let me get out of here.
Lord of the Rings does it a little bit differently, so I'll give you a interesting story. So remember last week I mentioned that they have filled out pretty much the whole map of Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious about the northern part of Middle Earth, where, northern Mirkwood, Dale, Eriador, and all that stuff. Because even though it's not really talked and mentioned a lot in Lord of the Rings, there's a lot of stuff going on during that time that parallels the quest of the Fellowship.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was like, okay, I know that the game makers put in a lot of content up in that area, so let me go and venture up. So I go and get on my horse. So I go from Rohan right into Lothlorien, and then I'm riding through Lothlorien. And before I approach the Vale of the Anduin, to get to that area, you talk about skulls. In Lord of the Rings, they don't do that. They literally, once you go and start running into an area that you're not supposed to be in, they go and give you a warning, and almost like in a very cordial paragraph form, which gradually tells you you have entered in a high level area. You best turn your butt back around. That's what I'm paraphrasing what they said, but that's pretty much what they said. They said, "Hey, guy, you're not in the right area." It's like, how high level are they? I'm level 95. The area level is 130 plus. So I'm just like,
I'm gonna turn around
I
now.
got off my main horse, turned around, got on my with the Rohan expansion back in the day. They introduced war steeds. So that's what I did. I got on my war steeds, hit hyperdrive, and ran back to Lothlorien. So yeah, that was part of my gameplay, was running away with my head cut off. The other one was actually finishing up the expansion stuff that I did not get time to finish, which was the Battle of Helm's Deep, which you run through that. You go to Isengard, get Saruman on his knees begging for mercy, which was kind of fun. And now I'm in Gondor and working my way to Minas Tirith.
Cool.
So I am in the Return of the Kings, the Book of the Return, and
Return of the King book.
Yeah. And just to remind people that they're not following the movies, they're following the books. So when you go through the Path of the Dead, they are there to help Aragorn at the port and not the city. In the movie, they help him take back the city. In the books, it's the port. And Aragorn is with Elrond's sons as well. So.
Oh, okay. Scott in the chat is asking if next week we're going to get an official Rye review for the Snyder Cut.
Written review, no, but an exclusive podcast review, yes.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, Scoob.
That's perfectly fine. It's your website. I can't dictate what you do with that, but we could do a full review on it.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not going to do a written review because I've already reviewed the original theatrical release, and I just feel like it's double dipping. But this one I think would be just for the fans on podcasts,
okay.
Like the TV exclusive ones.
So we can maybe revisit the original review for the original cut, and then expand on that with our opinions.
Oh yeah, I am fully ready for that because the glaring obviousnesses are there.
Let it be said, let it be done. Moving on. All right. Next thing with State of Game is I teased this earlier, and Gary Con is this weekend. I managed to get into not one, not two, but 4 games this weekend for Gary Con.
4 people.
4 games, 2 of which are part of my badge that I got when I signed up for Gary Con and checked in. And when I checked in, talking with one of the moderators there, he helped me kind of go through that virtual check-in process, because it's my first con other than, Tidewater Con, but that's a local thing and they don't do D&D stuff. They just do comic book stuff. This is like my first experience in a more, I guess for lack of a better phrase, a more professional con. But he helped me out and was showing me, it's like, dude, you had like a premium badge. How come you haven't signed up for any games? Like, I didn't really know how. I wasn't very sure. He's like, here, I'll showed me through it. And the first game in the list was like, dude, I don't know why anyone has not signed up for this. Why there's still seats open for this. You should totally do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. Signed up for a game with the Skip Williams. So for those of you who don't know, Skip Williams is one of the co-creators of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So he is running a 3rd edition adventure this Thursday, which I will be a part of. It's an offline game, so I will just give you an after action report when it's all said and done. And then I signed up for another game on Sunday, which is going to be kind of a longer game. It is with Stephen Randy McFarlane. He's he's done a lot of things with WotC and some other stuff. He's actually created a system called Delve. You can check it out on delve.com. For that, his game is this Sunday, again offline, and then I had been chatting with Jasper's Game Day about doing some stuff with them because we know earlier this year I had a friend who passed away due to suicide, and I really wanted to, kind of do something because we had a love for gaming. Jasper's is really good, kind of a charity dealing with mental health, especially suicide prevention and gaming. So I was like, all right, I want to help out, want to do some things. And Nate come back, says, hey, do you want to do some stuff for GaryCon? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. Well, then I reached back out, hey, anything, just following up with this, whatever. He goes, hey, are you available on Saturday to play this, to play a game? I was like, sure, this is great. So I signed up for a Saturday night game with Dr. D, which is an offline game. It's going to be a Zoom call. I don't know anything more about that other than it's level 7 characters, and the session is, and the game is going to be very mental health themed. So, as much as I do at this point, again, after action when that hums. The big one, and this is, I got confirmations on that today, as it's in the chat letting you know now, is I am going to be on a stream on GaryCon this Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. The adventure is called Beware the Road Too Often Traveled. With the DM is Ron Ogden of Dungeon Run. Dungeon Run. That is going to be a 3rd level adventure, and I need to make a character for this. And being that I have it's like I'm not sure what character to make. I do a lot of time playing dwarves and a lot of time playing Goliaths. I wanted to do something new and something different, but I didn't know what, because anyone who has access to all of the D&D Beyond material knows that there's a lot of choices with character creation. Lots. So I really wasn't sure what to do. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to reach out to you guys in the community here live with us and help me pick my character. I have 3 choices for races. I could throw in a 4th if there's a good 4th suggestion from the community. But I'm thinking either a Lextron, a Halfling, or an Elf. And I'm not really sure which one. The singer for Critical Role was Jason Charles Miller. He's the one who wrote the song for Campaign 1. Campaign 2's intro is performed by Travis and Laura and Ashley. If I'm remembering that right. But he might have wrote the one for that one too. But Jason Charles Miller is a different person. So, chat. The question is, what race should I choose? I already see a vote for Halfling. Halfling was on my short list. The other 2 on my short list were Elf and Lextron. Lextron is the elephant based race. Ghost-wise Halfling. That's interesting. So we got 2 for Halfling. Okay, real quick. Come on, it's out there to you guys in the chat. Put it in there. What do you think I should play? Because this will be on a live stream. You guys will get to see how this turns out.
Halfling, Ghostwise, Halfling. What race?
That's the race.
Okay.
I have never played a Halfling. I haven't done elves in years. And the Lextrum is from the Mystic Odyssey of Theros. I don't really have any cosplay to dress up for. I would love to, but I just don't have those kinds of materials. So I'm really not sure what I'll do. Halfling luck. Yep. So I'm feeling so far. My mods are telling me Halfling.
Yeah, it sounds like Halfling is the way to go.
Yes, he does play a half orc on Dungeon Run. I looked up a little bit of his IMDb stuff, but I included his social there if you wanted to go check him out on Twitter. So, but yeah, we'll kind of let that roll and see what's up with that. But yeah, it's halfling seems to be the thing. So it's out there, guys. Whoever's left in the chat, what do you think? Halfling or something else?
I think halfling
Luxtron, yep. Luxtron is the elephant based kind of race. It seemed kind of interesting. I guess maybe because I played Uncharted Lost Legacy and it had to deal with some of that.
Halfling is the way to go.
Looks like we got 2 votes halfling, 1 vote for Luxodron. What about you, Rai? What are you throwing your vote in for?
Since I am in a Lord of the Rings mood.
Lux is, yep. We got 2 halfling, 1 for Lux.
I'm going with halfling. I need those furry feet.
All right, 3 for halfling. It looks like halfling is going to be it. I will do a Luxtron for my level 7 character. So I will still use it and make it cool unless I'm told otherwise. So, well, 1 vote elf, 1 vote Lux, and 3 votes for halfling. Halfling for the win.
Halfling is the win.
We'll try that ghost halfling. That seems interesting. I'm doing this live right now, so once I get the basics, ghost-wise halfling. Alrighty. So, class would be the next one. So far, I'm thinking of fighter. Does anyone have any thoughts on a class I should try and play? I've done druid, I've done cleric. I haven't really done fighter or barbarian or some of the others before. Scott, I don't know if I can dress up. I don't have a lot of cosplay stuff on hand. So, sorry.
A barbarian halfling sounds like an awesome oxymoron to me.
Oh, that's cool. So, hopefully you check it out Friday night over on one of Gary Khan's Twitch channels. It'll be fun. It'll be lots of fun.
2 for barbarian.
2 for barbarian. Okay. 2 for barbarian. 2 for barbarian. Any other votes for class? Kind of like I like doing the live things, you know. Encourage people to watch and maybe make an opinion.
Da, 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 da. Tiny barbarian. So another barbarian.
All right, barbarian for the win. I will take those 3 and change and do that. Let's see. How do I change my class? Let's go barbarian. Add class. So, halfling barbarian for the win. We'll see. I mean, there's a couple of different subclasses because I get to be a level 3 character. But I may change that up.
Hey, whatever looks best.
Yeah, I don't get to play that often, but playing in 2 games related with Jasper's Game Day and 4 games total for Gary Khan is a tremendous opportunity. I'm really excited for it. I'm really nervous too. But you know what? We're gonna have fun. We're gonna do the things. It'll be great. So we got that out of the way. 4 votes for barbarian. Barbarian it is. Halfling barbarian. I will work on the rest of that and get that submitted, and I will post the character sheet on my socials when it's all said and done.
Skadoosh.
Alrighty. Next bit, I've got an interesting little bit to discuss as far as party dynamics from a dungeon master's perspective. This question was posed through the Discord, and I have the phrasing right. How could a DM or GM offset a party that has a group deficiency?
That is an interesting question. Good one.
It is. They came up with, say, everyone in the party used intelligence as their dump stat. or they don't, or they're lacking collectively, they're lacking a skill that's needed for a particular segment of the adventure. How thought process. I haven't really had that. I've had that, but I've also been very much of the attitude of players pick the characters they want to pick, and then whatever deficiencies are a challenge, but they're also on my end to compensate for. Like if a party doesn't have a healer, that kind of bit. And I did see that. I will take note of that, Scott. Level 7 Artificer Luxstrom. That could be funny. Could be fun. Anyways, group deficiencies. The big one with the suggestion was like the ability was the fact that they all have like intelligence as the dump stat, whatever. I think deficiency, I think, is a challenge, not a hindrance. But it's like you use intelligence for recall. The way the player's handbook specifies that intelligence is used for recalling information, studying. It's your studious stuff, which is probably why it's the primary stat for wizards. And having to go through some of those things. I think it's a matter of there are tools in game that you can use for those scenarios. Whether it's a headband of intellect, somebody could find, or a great thing that with Tasha's and whatnot is introduce a sidekick to the party that has that sort of strength, so to speak. Find her, because you can make a sidekick out of any creature that has a stat block that is humanoid. So find one that's strong in intelligence and give them as a sidekick to help out with those types of questions and information. I don't feel that. I think that's probably one of the great ways to kind of help offset that and add a little narrative NPC to things. Say the part like Keep Mysteries came out, right? A lot of studious type adventurers in the library. Your party is, your party doesn't have one of those studious type people. It doesn't have a strong intelligence check, or it doesn't have any of the intelligence based skills that they're proficient in. Introduce a potential sidekick character to help them do research, or take into account that even if the stat is not that high, it doesn't mean you don't have you can't do basic checks accordingly. I mean, it's just the skill checks are the skill checks. The DC is set based on how difficult it should be. But if you're communicating with your players and communicating with the builds, you can adjust the DC accordingly if it's warranted. Also, see what the type of question is. I mean, just because, and remembering baseline stat is 10. So unless you're somebody who takes a hit on intelligence, it should not hinder you going forward. But that's my thought is if you know what you're doing, or if you're communicating with your players and you're looking at the adventure and looking at how your character party is made up, if you need to you can introduce an element to help offset those types of things with those challenges. It also is, makes the game more interesting. People who min-max, sometimes I have issue with people who like spend all their time min-maxing characters, because then it's like, well, if your character has a flaw, play into it. I kind of like the idea of playing into a flaw versus I have to be perfect at everything. I have to be exceptional at everything. And that's just, to me, that seems kind of boring. So, all right. Moving right along. If you like that, please comment post a comment. And if you got a suggestion for another thing you'd like to hear my opinions on, I'm always interested for those things. Post that down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to join our Discord, and you can you can post some of those questions there. I'm trying to work on developing this out some more and giving some more and those kinds of things if you're interested in hearing it.
Yes, sir. Get the scuba perspective. Boom.
I do what I'm willing to offer it. If you're interested, I'm willing to share.
Share it away, my friend.
Alrighty, so let's move on to our odds and ends, shall we?
And endies.
Alrighty, where's that button? Oh, there's that button. All right, our odds and ends, the segment where we talk about some random internet stories that we find and offer our opinions and reactions to. As stated before, in our Discord, we have a odds and ends channel that Rye will post articles, and if you're a Patreon member of a particular tier or higher, I believe it's guest tier or higher, you can post articles for consideration as well. We actually did get a community submitted odds and ends article for this week that I thought was really cool.
It was really cool.
It's we're throwing it in. We're going to talk about it. We'll leave you to guess which one that is. Yes. So, without further ado, story number 1. How many of us remember going to the library?
Oh, it was just like last year.
How many of us remember forgetting to turn a book back in on time?
Plenty of times, Scuba. Plenty of times.
How long have you kept an overdue library book?
Maybe a couple months at max.
Really?
Accidentally.
I remember in school there was a couple times the fines for not turning the book in and whatnot, and now they're like, oh, if you don't turn the book in, you don't progress the grade, kind of deal. But how about if you're that person who forgets to turn in your book that you checked out in 1957?
That sounds like a pretty long time.
Well, for this New York resident, they were cleaning up, and they happened to find that they had checked out a copy of stories about Paul Bunyan, and back in 1957 had failed to return the book. But they found it, and they decided to return the book 67 years later. And decided to go ahead to cover any late fees to give a $50 donation to the library.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. She, Betty Diamond, the lady who is teaches literature at the University of Wisconsin, Whitewater, thought she could make amends by sending the book back to the branch in Auburndale with the $500 donation, which is pretty cool. You know,
you're willing to accept, and you got to pay your late fees. I mean, that's good. That's good stuff. But the library's reaction to the late fees is, I think, even more hilarious.
What was their reaction?
Their reaction is like, we appreciate the donation, but we stop worrying about charging late fees if the material has been missing more than 7 years.
That's at least they have a stopping point, but there's a higher number than 7.
Well, no, there's 11,000 items currently overdue.
11
by more than 7 years.
Yeah, and as they say, quote, the 63-year-old overdue book was once in a lifetime arrival, end quote.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, that is not the longest overdue library book that has been returned.
What is it, Scoob?
This happens to be a copy of The Adventures of Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, really?
That was checked out 82 years ago and recently discovered and returned by a gentleman who in Sydney, Nova Scotia, up with our northern neighbors.
So they checked it out 82 years ago and finally decided, hey, let's bring it back to the Cape Breton Regional Library. They might need it, maybe.
That's really kind of random.
That is random. Like, you know, decades have passed, people have died, you know, cities have been erected and destroyed, but hey, you got the book back to the library.
Well, I mean, it's good that you return your library books, and obviously you really enjoyed the book that you kept it so long.
And kudos to actually not only returning, but donation. That's
that I think is probably the best bit, because I mean, libraries are kind of a dying thing anyway. Because so how much of our material can we consume digitally? We don't even need to go to a library to look at physical books anymore.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of way to digitally, but you know, there's still a lot of books in circulations, and a lot of people buy books. So
On to our next story.
onward,
Let's talk about shoes.
shoes, people, shoes, locally.
Yeah. Nike apparently is running a competition right now. It's a celebration of various cities where you can go on and design a sneaker and put that design out on Instagram. As part of this competition, the entries with the most likes move on to the next phase. Well, a local resident here in Hampton Roads heard about this and decided to put his design out. And he was inspired by the city he grew up in, which is Virginia Beach.
Yes, sir. 28-year-old Kenny Jones, who's also in the Coast Guard, decided, hey, I think I will, you know, celebrate my city by donating and designing a shoe which embraces the cultural dynamic and just the area as itself. So it has an emblem for what people know as King Neptune at the oceanfront.
Yep.
And also highlights music legends such as Pharrell, Clips, Timbaland, Missy Elliott, and the Neptunes, who are all from this area.
Yeah, and like the tan colors to represent this is for like the beaches, the dark blue for the military presence, all of these things. So this is really cool. Now, he didn't have enough time to get it fully rendered in like Photoshop or whatnot, so he put up his rough sketch of the design. And you know what? The storm converged in the right spot, and this got picked up by a number of people, a number of likes. Another local guy rendered it in Photoshop for him.
Yes, he
and
did.
offered it. He is now up to 30,000 likes on his Instagram, and his Twitter is now up to 190,000 follows.
Oh yeah, and it keeps everybody from local to famous locals are sharing out and liking and spreading the word from
Which is cool because this guy has a dream of getting into the sneaker industry and getting into the shoe business.
Yeah.
And having a shoe store, but he wasn't sure how he could get into this. And opportunity came and he took it.
Oh yeah, he doesn't really know where it goes, but he's thankful for everything that's happening and all the word spreading for it. So, hey, if it actually comes to fruition, I'm picking a pair of those shoes.
I think it'd be nice to support him up like that. So,
Yeah.
Alrighty, moving on to our next story.
Moving on to kind of sad news.
Wah, 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 wah. How about this?
Game over.
Now, last year or earlier, at some point in the last year, it was Mario's 35th birthday.
Yes.
And Nintendo was putting out a bunch of merch and stuff to celebrate Mario's 35th birthday. However, they put in a caveat. They said on March 31st of 2021, all sales of this Mario merch will stop.
Yes.
Stop. They're going to pull it from the shelves, remove it from the digital stores, all of it. Now, Nintendo has not been very good at explaining to why this is so abrupt. The internet, of course, did not disappoint, and they have now dubbed this the day that Mario died.
Yes. March 31st.
Which, to me, when I say that, the first thing that comes to mind is that song, The Day the Music Died.
Dun, dun, dun.
But Nintendo, and this is caught fire, memes, all this stuff, and still no word from Nintendo explaining or clarifying or anything other than on March 31st, a lot of this Mario merch and stuff is going to be gone. There'll be a few of the newer things left, but unlike a lot of the classic games and all this stuff for this 35th anniversary is gone. Now, one theory is that they're going to take off all the 35th anniversary branding and then let the stuff go back out for sale.
Rumor has it.
That's a rumor. Another rumor is that this is going to be the end of Mario, which I don't believe it's going to be the end of Mario. Mario's too big of a product for Nintendo.
Product and icon. He's everywhere. Everybody knows him. Everybody's played his games. Everybody.
Yeah. I'm definitely sad and confused. Who knows? But just letting you know.
Yep. So if you want to pick up games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Mario Brothers 35, or Any other ones on there, you better get up on
Yeah, but
it.
the thing is, they're not even saying it's going to be playable after the 31st.
Yeah, some of them won't be playable.
So I mean, that's going a little. I mean, to try and tell me that you're not that you're not killing off the character is not really holding water when you're like, look, some of these games are not even going to be playable after the 31st.
Good thing I got a copy of my 3D All Stars already.
Hopefully it's on disc.
It is. I'm protected.
Let's do it.
Anyways, sweeten the deal.
Sweetening the deal while we commiserate the death of Mario. Let's go have some donuts from Krispy Kreme.
Drown in some sugar.
Here's a thing that Krispy Kreme is doing. If you go to participating Krispy Kremes and you show your little card that says you had gotten the COVID-19 vaccine, they will give you a free donut every day for the rest of 2021.
Just hear that, folks. Just listen. Heart to heart, right here between me and you. If you've been vaccinated today, so that means both doses or the single dose of the Johnson & Johnson, you can walk into Krispy Kreme every day until December 31st and get a free donut.
As long as you show your card that you got your vaccine.
That's a lot of donuts, but a lot of time to run it off, people. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I think it's going to be time for free breakfast for a single donut. But then again, Krispy Kreme is one of the things you can't eat just one.
But yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, they're using this as a way to support the endeavors, but also in the press release, Krispy Kreme acknowledged that they also plan to support healthcare workers and volunteers who are administering vaccines by delivering these free donuts to vaccination centers across the country in coming weeks. So, hey, sugar all around. Hey, I try to eat healthy, but when you come across a Krispy Kreme donut, you gotta eat it. I like Krispy Kreme donuts.
I didn't say I don't, but I definitely do my best to resist the urge as much as I can.
Scott, every day you walk into Krispy Kreme, that shows you have been fully vaccinated by the double doses or the single dose of Johnson & Johnson. You can get a free donut.
A free donut. Now, it's participating Krispy Kreme locations, so you'll have to check your local Krispy Kreme to find out. But this is not a bad deal. This is again trying to again, it's like free stuff always encourages people to do things.
Especially in America, people will do things for free.
This is true. So, on to our last story, and this one might take a few minutes to discuss because it's actually really kind of cool. If you want to get into your science nerd,
I took a deep dive into it, and it was a really good read.
Yeah, it was.
And interesting on the feasible studies.
All right, so the picture is kind of diluting, but this is a picture of an aqueduct in California.
Water everywhere.
Now, California has one of the largest aqueduct systems in America, if not the world right now, currently, because a lot of the water in the state is in the north, and they use a series of aqueducts and canals, pumps, and whatnot to push that water all across the state. Now, in doing so, it's the highest consumer of electricity for the state. And they have to fight with the fact that every year California is getting hotter.
Yes.
As such, there's a lot of water that's lost through evaporation, estimating roughly about 60 million gallons a year.
That's a lot of gallons.
Well, it is, especially when you're in a state that has constant droughts right now, the wildfires, all this other stuff. Water is a precious resource, not to mention having to deal with the cost of the electricity to run all of the pumps to move the water from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state, up and down hills and all this kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there was a feasibility study that was just released where the suggestion is made to cover all of the canals with solar panels.
So that is 4,000 miles of canals.
Yes. Now, this is a feasibility study. This is the next stage of this would be to do a practical build, test to test it and whatnot. But in the feasibility study, they actually make some very interesting arguments. Number one being that solar cells in this environment could be finicky because of the way the solar cells are designed to run. So putting on the science again, solar cells activate photons, and when the photons are in an excited state, they produce electricity. The problem is in certain areas like of California and others, if they are too hot, the amount of electricity produced is reduced.
Yes.
But the theory that is put forth in this feasibility studies, if we cover these canals with solar panels, the ambient temperature of the water in the canal should help to cool the solar panels so that they continue to produce electricity at an efficient state. And with the fact that solar panels are covering the water, there's a reduced amount of evaporation that can occur, which means more water to be shuffled around the state. And then, being the fact the solar panels are there, you could use the solar panels to power all of the pumps along California's canal system and aqueduct system. Pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
And some additional things is embracing climate change and moving toward embracing full-on electrical cars. Several of these aqueducts, probably the most predominant one, runs right along I-5, which is the major highway that connects Northern and Southern California. And what they're thinking could be a potential bonus is if you're having all these solar panels grabbing electricity, protecting the water, and their surplus electricity could be used to convert the gas stations into electric car charging stations and fully power electric cars for the state to go fully electric in their vehicles. All sounds really cool. However, there is a catch.
What's the catch?
The catch is what is the impact on local wildlife? The areas that have the canals are fully developed. So if you're placing the solar panels over the canals, you're not impacting the development of those areas because the panels are already there. The areas are developed because of the canals. But there are a number of wildlife that utilize the canals for sustenance because obviously you need water to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, you're done. So water's kind of up there on the necessity list.
So yeah, there's a plus to it, moving people to renewables, protecting, the benefits of water going from north to south, also help out the farmland, switching everything over. But the downfall is how does it affect the wildlife? So it's a feasibility study. Yeah,
this is by no means we're going to do this and how much this will cost, because there's a cost factor involved. You actually have to build some of this and test it. And plus there's maybe we don't have to cover all 4,000 miles with solar panels.
Maybe just a little bit, maybe just a lot, but hopefully this can lead to a bigger and better things. And it's a research that can go not just California, go to beyond the other states like Texas and the Midwest.
They do cite in there that India is actually has a small test sample of a similar concept that had a price tag of about $14 million.
Yep.
So there's our science stuff. That's a pretty cool odds and ends kind of deal. I mean, we're concerned about energy crisis and energy usage and whatnot. And here's a way to kind of take two different things and kind of bring them together like peanut butter and jelly and see what kind of result you get.
Yeah, it's just interesting, innovation and creativity can lead to possibilities. So once they can, find a way to test it and see, so they can see the pros and cons. Pros might weigh out the cons might weigh out the pros, but until it comes to actual test, we have a feasibility study that actually shows, hey, it might work. So
see how that goes.
Yep, definitely would see how it goes.
Alrighty, well, I think that wraps it up for us this week. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. Thank you for checking this out on video after we go live, the video on demand. I really appreciate that. If you're enjoying this, remember to please hit the like, the subscribe, and the little bell notification for more content. So you can be notified when more content comes out. Quick reminder, next stream is going to be Saturday morning, 10 a.m. here on YouTube for Shadow Watch. It's the first Shadow Watch. It's the first Shadow Watch is going to be exclusive on YouTube, not on Twitch. Twitch is going to be used for some other things going forward, but all of the D&D streams will be here on YouTube, as well as our regular stuff with Scuba and the Rye and Sunday with Scoob. Again, this weekend, we're not going to be doing a challenge accepted because I'll be doing a Jasper's Game Day D&D game as part of GaryCon. And Sunday, I will be doing a game in affiliation with GaryCon during when we would do Sunday with Scoob. Next, as far as I can say, tentatively next week it should be all of the shows unless something crazy opportunity comes up. But I'm planning to have all of the shows, regular thing next week. But that being said, thank you again to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's watched this. Please leave a comment, leave a like, tell us how we did, tell us some things you'd like to hear us talk about or give some opinions on in the future, and we will see you on our next stream. Good night, everybody.
Peace.